Urban myths usually spring from a scintilla of truth and then morph into something unrecognizable from the original. I am sure Professor Mehrabian is mystified how his original research has been corrupted to say something he never claimed. We hear these things trotted out by people who actually don't know what they are talking about. In the presentations world, there are a large number of these people, pseudo-scientific experts. The how you look when presenting is the most important thing idea is one of those cases. Mehrabian found that only became important when there was one major factor at play. If that wasn't the case, then the how you look idea is really important claim is nonsense. Welcome back to this weekly edition, every Tuesday of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President of Dale Carnegie Training Japan and best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery. We are bringing the show to you from our High Performance Center in Akasaka in Minato-ku, the business center of Tokyo. Why the cutting edge? In this show, we are looking at the critical areas for success in business in Japan. We want to help advance everyone's thinking so that we can be at the forefront, the cutting edge of how to flourish here in this market. Before we get into this week's topic, here is what caught my attention lately. Japan is getting active in what is called new space, as opposed to established space. The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA, has selected Mitsui and Space BD to work on microsatellite deployment. They will be seeking satellite deployment orders from universities and companies domestically and internationally. iSpace Inc. plans to head to the moon, launching an unmanned lunar module twice by the end of 2020. Zozotown CEO Yasuku Maezawa has contracted with SpaceX in the USA to travel around the moon in the first ever private moon flight. Spacewalker is planning a manned space journey. It is collaborating with IHI, Kawasaki Heavy Industries, and the Kyushu Institute of Technology and JAXA to develop a spaceplane rocket to fly in 2027. PD Aerospace is funded by ANA, HIS and others and is seeking to commercialize manned space journeys by 2024. Astroscale plans to launch the ELSAD satellite that performs space debris removal around 2020. In other news, 70% of graduates who joined their companies and 3 years later moved to another employer were happy with the change. Why move? 51.5% pointed to dissatisfaction with work content, 41% mentioned unhappiness with the human relations in their workplace, and the survey by the Association of Job Information Japan noted that 29% saw their salaries go up 10%, 46.5% saw them go down by 10% or more when they moved. Of the 32% who moved to a smaller company, 70% said they were satisfied with the move. Finally, tourist numbers in October showed that 715,300 tourists came from China, 571,200 from Taiwan, and 169,500 from Hong Kong. This is episode number 67, and we are talking about the biggest myth in presenting. それでは行きましょう. So, let's get going. Professor Albert Mehrabian's 1967 study of communication concluded that 55% of the presenter's message was received visually, 38% from voice tone, and only 7% through the words. As we all know, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. These numbers have been widely misinterpreted. As a result, a number of gurus and pseudo-experts have built businesses around emphasising the importance of how we look when we present. So, according to this misplaced logic, how we look accounts for over half of the impression of how we come across. So, we must pay very careful attention to dress, etc. Professor Mehrabian, nearly 50 years ago, flagged an issue that has reached epidemic proportions today: audience distraction. In his day, he was worried about factors that might compete with the key points we were trying to get across to our audiences in our presentations. His research showed that this 55-33-7 split only applied under one very critical condition: when what we are saying is not congruent with how we are saying it, the audience leaves us. They go off message and get distracted by our dress and appearance in 55% of cases. Others are no longer listening to what we are saying, but to how we are saying it. So 38% are focused on how we sound, our voice quality, our accent, our pronunciation, etc. When we are incongruent between what we are saying and the delivery, only 7% of the words are actually registering with our audience. This is not much, is it? When we say incongruent, what do we mean by this? In some societies, family members being interviewed by television reporters after losing loved ones in a tragedy are smiling when they're talking to the camera. This is a supremely painful moment, yet they are smiling. In these cultures, this is accepted as the polite way to not burden others with their personal heartfelt grief. This, for the rest of us, is incongruent. What we would expect to see is a face contorted with sad feelings, tears rolling down cheeks, and a voice barely audible, almost breaking up under the strain. In the same way, a really happy event greeted with a long, sad face would not be congruent either. Mehrabian's work tells us that when we don't match what we say with how we say it, we lose our audience. It wouldn't matter how well dressed we were, we wouldn't be able to maintain attention to what we are saying. No matter how stentorian or lilting, pleasant and professional our speaking voice, the key message is being lost. The immense value of our content is not absorbed because it is not being heard. Wooden faces, devoid of expression, are precisely the target for Mehrabian's research results. These are often the experts in their fields who rely on their reputation and authority to carry the day. They are subject heavyweights and their faces are ever serious, never smiling. The problem is they only are able to have and manage one facial expression throughout their presentation, regardless of the content. That doesn't work. Find out more when we come back from the break. If you want to become a fully competent and confident presenter, then do the High Impact Presentations course. We are all being judged when we speak, be it in the internal team meeting or in a public environment, be it the big bosses, clients, or an industry audience. Everyone is evaluating us. Don't blow it. Get the best training on the planet. Do the High Impact Presentations course now in either Japanese or English. The bestseller, Japan Sales Mastery, is the new Bible of selling in Japan. To sell to Japanese buyers, you need to create long-term partner-level trust, fully understand Japanese buyers' real needs, convince buyers with your solutions, overcome their hesitation, fear and doubt, know how to ask for the order, ensure repeat orders. This book is the product of 30 plus years in the trenches selling in Japan. Order Japan Sales Mastery now. Welcome back. Not every sentence in a presentation is of such world-shattering seriousness. Consequently, the lack of congruence with what they are saying and how they are saying it kills the communication. Their audience mentally leaves their message. To add to that dilemma, it is so easy to escape the presenter today. Thanks to powerful handheld devices, we are all having instant online access to worlds much more interesting than the speaker. We need to be skilled as speakers to keep everyone's attention on our messages. We need variety to have highs and lows in our presentations, serious and light moments, complex and simple components of the message. Each of these requires a face and voice of its own that is in sync with the content. Of course, we should be dressed appropriately for the occasion, but we need to make our face and voice do the work, not the suit, blouse, or the shoes. If the topic is serious, look serious, but also be prepared to ease off the pressure from the constant seriousness. It is exhausting for an audience. They need a break or we will lose them. If we are flippant and light all of the time, we will not be providing enough variety for our audience at the other end of the scale. It is the same problem, but just coming from the other end of the angle. Telling jokes and repeating witticisms constantly for 40 minutes is not a substitute for a well-designed presentation unless you're a professional comedian, and that is your trade. If we focus on being congruent when we speak, then we will be more successful in getting our message across to our audience. That miserable 7% number will flip to become close to 100% absorption of our messages, and as speakers, that is what we want, isn't it? The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show is here to help you succeed in Japan. Subscribe on YouTube, share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Become a regular. Thank you for watching this episode, and remember to hit the subscribe button. Our website details are on screen now, enjapan.dalecarnegie.com. That's awesome value, so check it out. In episode number 68, we are talking about negotiations. What is your preferred process? Find out more about that next week. So, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu. Please join me for the next episode of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. We are here to help you, and we have only one direction in mind for you and your business, and that is up.